Thanks for coming back to MinnesotaBlack RobeRegiment. With this video, I'm going to be launching a new little series. It's not going to take up a lot of time. Well, this first one might, just because it's an explanatory series or explanatory video to explain the series. This video series is going to be called Casual Cognitive Dissonance. Why am I calling it casual? Well, let's be honest. We're not teaching critical thinking skills to anyone anymore. Schools are now just pumping out memory factories. Kids are being taught to memorize things just so they can pass a test, graduate, and move on. But they're really not being taught reasoning and critical thinking, not theory. They're being taught critical theory. If they were being taught critical thinking, they wouldn't have to be taught critical theory. Well, because quite frankly, if they were being taught critical thinking, critical theory would die the death it should die. But anyway, that's an aside. So in this series, I'm going to go out and about and I'm going to search for examples of cognitive dissonance taking place in articles, essays, videos, comments on social media, and the like, and I'm going to be exposing them. So today we're going to start with an article or a story by none other than KARE11 about Mickey's Diner. Mickey's Diner in St. Paul is 82 years in the run. They're very close to losing their business, and they've decided to start a GoFundMe page to help try and salvage this business that is suffering not from a pandemic but from government overreach. I'm not going to lie, I was very pointed in the comment that I made, and here's what I said. I don't care if this bothers you, but this is what I said. I do this intentionally to provoke people. And here's why. This is how they operate. I'm executing Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals from his book called Rules for Radicals, and I'm making sure that people understand what's happening here. So here's what I said. If Governor Tim Walz and his jackbooted thugs in the MDH, Minnesota Department of Havoc, along with the AG, Antifa General Ellison, would stop kneeling on the throats of businesses they are systematically suffocating, this would not be happening. Here, Paula Chilton was very nice and said this to me, and I'm actually flattered. Paula, let it never, she says, T.C. Pearson, let it never be said that you aren't passionate about your BS. I do not have a bachelor's of science degree. Paula, I'm glad that you perceive that I do. Maybe that'll come in handy for me at some point when I would like to use the appeal to authority, logical fallacy. So while I do not have a bachelor's of science, Paula, I appreciate that you've indicated that I do have one. It's very kind of you. I felt it was important for me to remind Paula that I can observe things about her as well. And here's what I said about Paula, excuse me. Let it never be said you aren't a Marxist puppet, gladly supporting the willful destruction of our republic. Fair is fair, correct? One is demonstrably true, the other one is not. I'll let you decide. Here is Erica Ann. She says, and there again, casual cognitive dissonance. Walz is trying to do his duty to protect the lives of Minnesotans. Unfortunately, the pandemic is causing financial stress on everyone, but more so on the people that lost loved one to the disease. A business may be able to start over, but those that died can't. You and your fascist followers need to think about others besides your own financial problems. Okay, first example of cognitive dissonance, casually. Yes, there is a lot of financial stress on people. None of it's caused by a virus. I've had thousands of colds in my life. Like, well, okay, maybe not thousands. 300-400 times I've had a cold. I've had respiratory flu. I've had stomach bugs. Stomach bug has never caused me, the flu has never caused me, common cold has never caused me any financial stress at all, ever. Not once. I get a little upset because I have to take off from work if I'm not feeling well, but that's not causing me financial stress. And I'm sorry for people who have lost or lost loved one to the disease. I do feel bad for them. I really do. I have some very good friends who have had it. I've had a relative who's had it, and my relative's spouse has had it. So I know people that have had it. I feel bad for people who have lost loved ones. But saying that a loved one can't come back, but a business can reopen, is demonstrating just how disconnected, how much casual cognitive dissonance is happening here. A lot of these people are losing everything. They're not just losing a business. This is an 82-year-old establishment that could close. This family has bought and paid for this establishment over and over and over again in 82 years. It has been an anchor point in the Twin Cities. Everybody knows where it's at. Not everybody, but most of the people in the Twin Cities are well aware of where this business is. Most of the people in the Twin Cities are well aware of what it is. If they lose this, they've lost everything they've ever invested their money in. There are business owners out there right now that I've talked to personally who are paying their business bills, their recurring business bills, with personal credit cards to try and keep things afloat. There are people who have taken out second and third mortgages on their homes to try and keep their business afloat because the governor has ordered them to close when they could be open. Because big box stores are open. Restaurants that are chain or franchised can stay open, maybe not to the same level that they were, but they can stay open. And the franchise will work to help them keep their bills paid because it's in their best interest. But nobody's going to come along to the privately owned little mom and pop places or to the, not mom and pop, but the independent joints and keep them open. Give them an influx of cash. And quite frankly, if the government gives them an influx of cash, it's going to destroy them no matter what. This is what cognitive dissonance is. And if they're so casual about it. And we're going to just skip over her calling me calling me and all of my fascist followers. I don't have any followers. Are you kidding me? Nobody pays attention to me. Okay, there's a few of you that do, but you're not taking marching orders from me. And this idea, you need to think about others besides your own financial problems. Are you kidding me? So while I'm supposed to be thinking about everybody else's problems, who's thinking about mine? Who's thinking about the problems of Larvina McFarquhar in Havens Garden? Who's thinking about the financial problems for Lisa Monet Zarza at the Alibi? Who's thinking about Lisa Hansen and her family at the Interchange? Who's thinking about the family that owns the poorhouse? Who's thinking about the family who owns Neighbors? Who's thinking about the family who's just had to close their business? Where's everybody thinking about them? No, we're all supposed to stop and think, not think about our financial well-being. We're supposed to think about other people's well-being. As if somehow you can't be worried or concerned about health and financial health. Medical health and financial health. Guess what? They're interlinked. They're also interlinked. Financial well-being is also interlinked to mental health. Suicide is on a rise in Minnesota. Attempted suicide is on a rise in Minnesota. Depression in adults and in teenagers and in younger than teens is on a rise in Minnesota. And it's got nothing to do with the virus. The virus doesn't cause that. Stress and concern about the future when it comes to financial well-being is causing that cognitive dissonance. Now, this was supposed to be lighthearted, but this kind of stuff makes me very angry. Look at this peach from Tona K. Fierro. She shares this screen grab from Alethea Joe Misher. My mind is blown at how few people understand cause and effect. Government shutdowns are an effect, in this case, to a lack of personal responsibility during a pandemic. If you are upset about businesses struggling to survive, I urge you to reconsider the cause and do what you can to control the pandemic without necessitating government action. It's simple. No, it's not simple, Alethea. And quite frankly, I'm going to address this to you, Tona, because you thought this was stellar. You thought this was just the nail in the coffin that was going to destroy me. This is a horrible argument. Governor Walz and so many other Marxist leftist governors in the country and mayors, Kim Norton, did all sorts of things before they even knew how serious this pandemic was going to be. We're on 9 months of 2 weeks to flatten a curve, which in the state of Minnesota never happened. The curve didn't need to be flattened. Now they're going to take credit for it and say it's because we did all of these things, but that's not the point. Those things were done before anybody was demonstrating any irresponsibility. And if you want to call it irresponsibility to open up your business so you can pay your bills, so your employees can pay their bills, then that's on you. But why are you thinking about their mental and financial well-being? Why is the only well-being that you're concerned of is whether or not they're going to get a bug? That's a hogwash argument that you shared there. Hogwash. This one I'm not even going to really address, but somehow I'm supposed to believe that it's Mitch McConnell's fault that all these people need help. And when the government has to step in and start pumping you cash, where are they getting that cash? Where are they getting it? They're printing it. Or they're taxing the snot out of those of us who are still working to pay the people that they've closed down. They've ordered these people closed. They continue to tax the crap out of me to pay somebody else. Let them open. Wouldn't have to print money or tax the crap out of people. You could just let them do business in a safe way. Because you're allowing the big box stores to be open, Target and Walmart and Shills and the malls and all of that stuff, cram-packed full of people. But your cognitive dissonance is so disgusting that you just don't seem to understand that we're missing something here. This is one of my favorite. He's a drumpf troll. I don't know. De-drumpf troll. I'm not. Literally, if you knew anything about me, you know how much I don't really care for the man. But that's not the point. And I don't need to troll for him. He does a pretty good job on his own. I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'm just going to get you for a minute to think. Are you applying critical thought to your positions? Are you properly using argumentum reductio ad absurdum, which can be a logical fallacy, but it's useful sometimes to employ a logical fallacy. It's also useful to employ it in a way so that it's not a logical fallacy. And that's what's missing from so many people today. They don't think logically about things. They don't think critically about things. They think with their emotions, if you can call that thinking. They emote. They vomit out these things that they think make perfect sense, and we really don't. If they really thought about that little screen grab that said that the governor ordering businesses and stuff to close down is a reaction to lack of personal responsibility and irresponsibility on the people, sovereign individuals, they would have never posted it. Because if you go back to March and even into November, that had nothing to do with it. Businesses were maintaining their responsibilities. Restaurants were still operating at 50% capacity. Restaurants were still requiring people to come in and wear masks when they went to a table. The vast majority of people in Minnesota are wearing facial coverings. The vast majority. But it's to the point now where people are like, are you kidding me? You keep telling me to do this, but nothing's changing. This is what's wrong with our country. Casual cognitive dissonance. We just don't even realize we're doing it anymore. So if you become aware of a good example of casual cognitive dissonance, send it my way. I'd like to look at it. And I'd like to apply some intellect, if I can find any left in myself. Because you know I'm a Trump troll. But I do have a BS, Bachelor of Science, according to the one gal. So send them my way. Let's break them down. Send me your favorites. We'll see how many of these we can put out in the next few weeks. And as always, 6 separate tyrants.